Hello, homesteaders and health nuts. This is today's project. Any guesses at what we're working on? We took our awesome garage sale find at this turkey roaster, this vintage Westonhouse, and filled it up with maple tree sap. And it's already simmered down a little. It was literally when we walked by, it was wanting to vibrate over the edges. So this holds 5 gallons of water, almost, not quite. That would overflow it. So just shy of 5 gallons. And our friends gifted us with 30 gallons of tree sap. I've been running back and forth there every day. And this is batch 2. I'm gonna pause it and we're gonna go over to the stove and I'll show you the maple syrup. This is almost maple syrup. This pan was about an inch from the top this morning. It's been simmering for at least an hour, boiling I should say, boiling for an hour. And we're at 213. It's kind of done at 2. You gotta slow it way down. Once it gets up to 219, I will reduce it to a simmer until it gets to about 221. And then we'll have maple syrup. You can see the color is already changing. I mean, look at all that evaporation coming off of there. One thing that's cool about making maple syrup, or any tree syrup, there are many different trees that you can tap and make syrup out of. For instance, we have black walnut trees, and that made the most amazing syrup, and it was literally nutty, like you were eating a walnut. It's sweet, and that ratio though is 80 gallons of tree sap yields 1 gallon of syrup. So we got about a cup and a half of syrup after we did that project. And maple syrup is 40 gallons of tree sap to 1 gallon of syrup. So we might get, a gallon of syrup out of everything. So we have 30 gallons of tree sap so far. And these are from sugar maples and silver maples. So, like I said, you can tap many different trees. When you think of xylitol, that is from a birch tree. That's birch syrup. That's good for your teeth, and they use that as like a prebiotic. They use that in a lot of dental things for toothpaste and gums and mouthwashes. And since that's a 0-calorie sweetener, unfortunately maple syrup is not a zero-calorie sweetener, but it's loaded with the minerals, so it's a very healthy choice. And plus it's homemade. Look at it. This is fun. Let's stir that around. We're at two bouncing between 212 and 214. I just wanted to show you some of this maple foam. So as you get closer to the 219 degrees where you are pretty much syrup, we're at 217 and a half right now, it'll really start to foam up. So keep an eye on it. I give it a stir. Even with this foam, as it cools, it turns right to that syrup. And you can also start to see some of the impurities and minerals coming to the top. If you want, you can scoop those out. I don't find them offensive. But like I said, keep an eye on it. Pull it off the heat if it gets too high. But let it keep simmering. And you're almost at syrup. This is the finished maple syrup product. It reached the 219. It's still very hot, so as it cools, it will thicken up a little. And get rid of my spoon. I was going to show you. Here we have a half gallon going, and I slowly add this in so it doesn't get too hot. I'll fill that up. You can see we have a lot of other projects going in the kitchen right now. There's some goose broth, bone broth, and more. I'm not sure if that's bone broth or beef broth, because there's some of the cow bones. And like I said, as this cools, it will thicken up a little. We're getting about 2 cups of syrup per 5 gallons of sap. And we've already been enjoying this quite a bit. So I was surprised to see, probably already used 1/4 cup of syrup. And I don't want to pour it all in at once because I know these are designed to handle heat, but I have colder. See, look at that dripping off in there. Here's the syrup. Woo. Totally worth all that time. It takes hours and hours. So we put it in the turkey roaster to simmer it down. Then once I have about 8 cups, I think this is an 8-cup saucepan. It goes in there, and then it boils down until we can finally add it to our 1/2 gallon. And there is 1 more quart downstairs. And so this is maple syrup 2021.